Have you ever found yourself frustrated by someone's actions, wondering how they could be so, well, clueless? Or maybe you've caught yourself in a moment of poor judgment, shaking your head afterward, thinking, that was pretty stupid. Here's the thing. Intelligence isn't just about IQ scores or academic achievements. True intelligence is reflected in how we perceive the world, how we interact with others, and the decisions we make daily. On the flip side, there are certain behaviors that scream stupidity, and the dangerous part is, most people don't even realize they're doing them. Today, we're breaking down the 6 unmistakable signs of a stupid person. Not to judge or ridicule, but to help you spot and avoid these pitfalls in your own life. Because recognizing stupidity is the first step to avoiding it. Ready to see if you or someone you know might be guilty of one of these behaviors? Let's dive in. One of the clearest signs of stupidity is the outright refusal to learn. Intelligent people understand that growth comes from knowledge and new perspectives. On the contrary, stupid people cling to their existing beliefs like a lifeline, refusing to consider that they might be wrong. They dismiss books, new ideas, or advice with phrases like, "I already know that," or "That's just not how I do things." This closed-mindedness isn't just a barrier to growth, it's a wall that keeps them trapped in ignorance. Refusing to learn isn't about a lack of intelligence, it's about a lack of humility, the humility to admit that there's always more to know. Imagine a plant refusing water because it thinks it's fully grown. That's what a refusal to learn looks like. The smartest people in the world are often the first to admit what they don't know, while the truly foolish remain convinced they know it all. If you want to avoid this trap, start by embracing curiosity and acknowledging that every conversation, every book, and every mistake is an opportunity to learn something new. The second sign of a stupid person is the habit of blaming others for everything that goes wrong in their life. Whether it's a failed relationship, a missed opportunity, or a career setback, nothing is ever their fault. They point fingers at their parents, their boss, the government, or even fate, anyone but themselves. This mindset is not just self-destructive, it's a clear indicator of a lack of self-awareness and personal responsibility. Intelligent people understand that while external factors do influence outcomes, the power to respond and adapt lies within. They take ownership of their actions, learn from their mistakes, and use those lessons to grow. In contrast, stupid people see themselves as perpetual victims, never realizing that by refusing to take responsibility, they're handing over control of their lives to external forces. The truth is, blaming others is easier than facing uncomfortable truths about yourself. But growth only happens when you stop pointing fingers and start looking in the mirror. Have you ever met someone who loves to argue, not to understand or exchange ideas, but just to prove they're right? That's the third sign of a stupid person engaging in arguments without any genuine understanding of the topic. They interrupt, they raise their voice, and they double down on their points, even when it's clear they haven't done the homework. For them, winning the argument is more important than uncovering the truth. This behavior isn't just exhausting for those around them, it's a surefire way to stay ignorant. Intelligent people, on the other hand, ask questions, listen actively, and admit when they don't know something. They see debates as opportunities to learn, not as battles to win. The truly foolish never ask themselves, "What if I'm wrong?" They cling to their opinions because their ego depends on it. The next time you find yourself in a debate, ask yourself, are you arguing to learn something new or just to protect your pride? The answer might reveal more about you than the argument itself. The fourth sign of a stupid person is a complete lack of self-awareness. These are the people who criticize others for behaviors they themselves constantly display. They'll call someone arrogant while boasting about their own achievements, or accuse others of being close-minded while refusing to entertain new perspectives. This blindness to their own flaws isn't just frustrating, it's dangerous. Without self-awareness, there's no growth, no improvement, and no chance of breaking free from self-destructive habits. Intelligent people make a habit of self-reflection. They ask themselves hard questions and are willing to face uncomfortable truths about their own behavior. They understand that self-awareness is the foundation of all improvement. Stupid people, however, see themselves as the hero in every story. incapable of wrongdoing. They remain oblivious to the patterns that keep them stuck. If you want to avoid this trap, start by asking yourself, what am I pretending not to see about my own actions and attitudes? The ability to self-reflect is what separates the wise from the foolish. The fifth sign of a stupid person is their tendency to react emotionally to everything without stopping to think. These are the people who fly off the handle at the slightest inconvenience, who escalate minor disagreements into full-blown arguments, and who let their emotions dictate their actions. Emotional intelligence is a crucial component of true intelligence, and the ability to pause, assess, and respond thoughtfully is what separates the wise from the foolish. In contrast, stupid people act first and think later, if at all. They don't just burn bridges, they incinerate them without a second thought, leaving a trail of damaged relationships and missed opportunities behind them. Intelligent people understand that emotions are signals, not directives. They practice self-control, knowing that the ability to respond calmly in heated situations is a superpower. Stupid people, however, remain slaves to their impulses, never realizing that reacting emotionally only serves to make bad situations worse. If you want to avoid this trap, start by mastering the art of the pause. Take a breath, assess the situation, and then decide how to respond. The sixth and perhaps the most defining sign of a stupid person is their absolute refusal to admit when they're wrong. For them, being right is more important than learning, growing, or even maintaining relationships. They'll twist facts, deny evidence, and rewrite history just to preserve their ego. This stubbornness isn't just irritating, it's a sign of deep insecurity. Intelligent people, on the other hand, see admitting mistakes as a strength, not a weakness. They understand that no one is right all the time and that growth only happens when you're willing to learn from your mistakes. Stupid people, however, double down on their errors, choosing to look foolish rather than admit a flaw. This refusal to accept responsibility doesn't just halt their personal growth, it erodes trust and credibility with others. The irony is that the more they try to appear infallible, the more obvious their shortcomings become. If you want to avoid this trap, start by practicing the simple but powerful phrase, "I was wrong." It's a small step, but it has the power to transform your relationships and your life. Stupidity isn't just a personal flaw, it has real far-reaching consequences. People who embody these 6 signs often find themselves stuck in a cycle of self-sabotage without even realizing it. They struggle to maintain relationships, advance in their careers, and achieve their goals. The reason is simple. When you refuse to learn, take responsibility, or admit when you're wrong, you're effectively slamming the door on growth. Worse, stupidity is contagious. Surrounding yourself with people who exhibit these traits can slowly erode your own mindset and behaviors. It's like being stuck in a room full of smokers. You might not light a cigarette yourself, but eventually you'll breathe in enough smoke to feel the effects. Intelligent people make a conscious effort to distance themselves from toxic behaviors, choosing instead to build a circle that challenges and uplifts them. The good news is that stupidity isn't a life sentence. It's a choice. And like any choice, you can decide to change it. Recognizing these signs is the first step to avoiding them, not just in others, but in yourself. The good news is, stupidity isn't a permanent condition. It's a set of behaviors that can be unlearned. The first step is awareness. Recognizing these 6 signs in yourself is the most powerful move you can make. Start by embracing a mindset of lifelong learning. Read more books, seek out diverse perspectives, and never be afraid to say, "I don't know." Next, practice radical responsibility by owning your actions and decisions, both good and bad. When things go wrong, resist the urge to blame others and instead ask, what could I have done differently? Cultivating emotional intelligence is another powerful antidote to stupidity. This means pausing before you react, seeking to understand before you respond, and choosing your battles wisely. And most importantly, build a habit of self-reflection. Journaling, meditation, or even just a few quiet minutes each day to think about your actions can help you see where you might be falling into these traps. Remember, the goal isn't to be perfect, but to be better than you were yesterday. Intelligence isn't just about what you know, It's about how willing you are to keep learning. So where do you go from here? The first step is to commit to being a lifelong learner. Intelligence is not a fixed trait, but a muscle that grows with every book you read, every conversation you have, and every mistake you're willing to learn from. Surround yourself with people who challenge you, who push you to think deeper and aim higher. Distance yourself from those who embody the 6 signs of stupidity. Not out of judgment, but because your environment shapes your future. Make self-awareness a daily practice. Ask yourself hard questions and be brutally honest with the answers. And most importantly, remember that intelligence is as much about humility as it is about knowledge. The smartest people aren't the ones who know the most. They're the ones who are willing to admit how much they don't know. In a world that often rewards loud voices and stubborn opinions, choose to be different. Choose to listen, to learn, to grow. Because the true mark of intelligence isn't in always being right. It's in the willingness to get better every day. Keep seeking, keep learning, and watch as your life transforms. And that's a wrap. If you've made it this far, you're already ahead of the game. Remember, intelligence isn't about avoiding mistakes, it's about learning from them. So keep pushing forward, keep seeking the truth, and most importantly, keep striving to be better than you were yesterday. If this message resonated with you, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Until next time, stay curious and stay smart.